What happens next? My wife of 10 years recently asked for space after years of emotional neglect. After attempting to speak with her over and over, she tells me that she feels as if she is being pushed to make a decision and that she will leave tonight for her dad's house to decide what to do. She tells me that I probably won't like the decision. I admit to having not given her the attention and affection she desired, but prior to her request, I'd made some changes based on the numerous relationship book suggestions. Part of this also is a addiction she's been asking me to get help for, which I recently signed up for. I'm a very devout Christian who believes that God puts people together for life. You should also know that the difficulty I had giving her space was due to her being on dating sites. She said she wasn't seeking anything but to have the good time she hadn't had throughout and that she didn't know what she wanted to do. But her being on the sites just made me want to try harder. I don't think it worked. Feed it to me straight, everyone. Seems like I should be preparing for the worst when she returns. What do you think? Her dad lives in a different city, so I can tell him that she says she's coming. I'm just so torn because that chatting on the dating site makes me want to keep trying. Because of several years of what my wife of 10 years calls emotional neglect, and coupled with the fact that I have a video addiction, one that I'm going to counseling for, my wife asked me to leave to give her space. Every day, I've been trying to reason with her, but all it has done is made her more distant. During this time, I discovered her on dating sites, so I tried harder to convince her, thinking that I'm losing drastically. She said she was only looking to have some fun and not date, but I still wanted to try harder, so I did. I eventually told her yesterday that I would consent to the site, knowing that I didn't want to. I just had a funny feeling about something, so I looked through her phone and saw she'd exchanged erotic photos with some guy. She'd had dirty phone time with another. She'd spoken with another guy for several hours. I confronted her, so she said she's done. All of her actions are totally out of character, and I'm sure she's doing this to relieve her frustrations of the past few years. I feel so strongly that this is just a phase and that she just wants to have some fun. One of the things she says our marriage has been missing. She is a highly intelligent and respectful woman, I feel, who is lashing back because of everything. This is not who she is. The thing about it, though, is I still love her, and I feel that once she has her space and goes through all of this, she will actually realize that she still loves me, too. What do you all think? Lost cause. Let me also add, she tells me that if I give her the space she wants, she may reconsider her statement of being done and reevaluate things. I'm going to get my own apartment while remaining optimistic. She decided to move out, and we've worked on some tentative arrangements. She's filing papers today. What makes it so hard for me is I have no family here. Met her here when I played baseball and stayed because of her. They say when one still has love, as I do, there is still a chance, but I'll have to work on myself in hopes of proving that I can and will change. We have a daughter together, so we will still be around one another at times. We decided that we would still attend same church. If my changes don't get her to find again that love she once had, I'll be ready for my next wife. It sounds different to even think about possibly marrying again. I believe my wife is now in the fog that I've read about. Could someone please explain this to me? I've been hearing much of what Every has been saying. I have love for you, but I'm not in love with you. I don't think I can love you anymore, all of this kind of stuff. She is currently not fixed in just one emotional affair, but she has actually been seeking the attention and exchanging explicit texts with several men. She says she wants to see what's out there, but I know in my heart that she loves me. She says she wants to see what else is out there and that it is not about bonding or about a commitment. She wants to have fun, what our marriage has missed for so long. She says she's done what everyone else wanted her to do. Now it's time that she does what she wants to do. She has even talked of divorce. I don't want the divorce. I believe that with time, this can pass. I just want more information on how I should proceed. I want to fight for our marriage. What is this plan A and plan B stuff? What the deal with saying you want to try to reconcile in the midst of divorce process? The interesting thing is that it's not really one guy, which makes it even more confusing, as this is far from my wife's character. I'm aware that she has been corresponding with at least 3 different guys via phone, text, email, Facebook and such. It doesn't make it any easier to deal with, but she's, in my opinion, lashing out because of what she calls emotional neglect for several years. I just want to know that best route to getting back to the love I know is still there. I want my wife and my marriage back. How long does the fog usually last? This came to a head after her discovery of my continued addiction that I'm now going to therapy for. She then asked me to leave, but the conversations that followed were not only about that, but about how I've emotionally neglected her for so long. I admit to having done so, but that doesn't excuse the fact that she's decided to pursue other people. When the discovery was made this time, I immediately found a therapist. Since then, it's been I don't think I'm in love with you anymore or something like that. She didn't really throw up the divorce card until I discovered her web activity, her texting and so forth. I really want to fight for my marriage, but I want to do it in a dignified way. How do you drag out a divorce process by saying that you want to try counseling and so forth to give the DS time to come out of the fog while I get myself together? I just left my house where I told the DS that I could not accept her terms of being able to hang out with other guys and use me as a security blanket. I told her that I wanted her to stop what she was doing. Her reply was that she didn't want to and that she was just going to plan on moving forward without me. I then talked with a respected elderly woman and asked her if she could possibly talk with her about commitment and marriages, hoping that this might wake her up out of the fog. Do I think I will do any good? No. She says her willingness to stay committed to this relationship is gone. She says she plans on seeing a lawyer and proceeding with the divorce proceedings. While I know that I'm going to have some difficult days ahead, it felt good to look her in the eyes and tell her that. While I still have some hope that things can be worked out, that hope is diminishing fast and I'm actually in a better place to accept that. I hope that as I progress through the 7 steps, things might turn around. If not, that's okay. I think she's going to have someone over tonight. When I picked up daughter for school, she said don't come over for anything tonight cause I can't stand to see you. She calls 10 minutes later asking what is used in heating garage, kerosene or gas. Only reason to heat garage now is to hang out there and play pool. She never hangs out in there. Whatever it is, she doesn't want to do it in the house. I'm going to catch her and when I do, she's leaving my house and I'll keep our daughter. I understand that I've done some wrong in addressing this situation, but now I'm going to rectify them. She threatened to take my daughter and leave, but now that is not an option. I'm going back home tonight and reclaiming what is mine. And that's that. She can leave, but she's not taking my daughter. I'd actually already moved out. She'd threatened to take my daughter out of her comfort zone if I didn't leave. I'm not having that. I have a 3rd-degree black belt in judo as my backup just in case. But I'm going back home tonight one way or the other. Plan didn't go so well. She refused to let me in and even called police. They told me that they couldn't make me leave, but it was in everyone's best interest that I did. She's now decided that she's going to leave anyhow, so oh well. I do get the house back tomorrow, but I've lost my wife for good. I'm actually okay with it. I just don't want there to be any adverse effects to my relationship with my daughter. Don't think anyone was there, but not for sure. She says she's not that kind of person. She actually called a minute ago stating she was filling out papers for divorce and that I could come back to the house today cause she couldn't stay knowing I wanted to be there. She offered 50% of mortgage and her half of phone bills and car insurance. Said if I can't handle it then sell the house. She said some pretty ugly things too, but I knew she was capable of that, so I wasn't surprised. Is this how it usually goes? Obviously, I don't want the divorce, but it seems inevitable. I still have hope. I also know that she's still on those dating websites, and while we were talking, she got a call she wouldn't answer, acting like the call was puzzling. She's checked out. While I said I have hope, I don't think there's much either. We will move on. I'll get over it. Yesterday, my wife officially submitted our divorce papers, and it is, at this point, still very difficult for me to accept. While my fee addiction, I'm currently in therapy to get over it, was a part of the problem. She states that the primary reason was that she was tired of all the years of emotional neglect. I hadn't met her emotional needs, she says, and she was tired of being unhappy in her relationship. At 33, and after 10 years of marriage to someone who didn't and felt couldn't make her happy, she said she was done. While in recent months, I'd started reading relationship books to try to rectify my issues. I had made some changes with my behavior, but she said it was too little too late. We have come up with some pretty reasonable terms as it relates to the divorce, but obviously I'm not happy about this. I love her so much. We have a beautiful daughter together. I planned on spending my entire life with her. I relocated from my home state of Texas to be with her. I met her here while playing baseball and decided to stay 900+ miles away from home. I have no family here other than hers, so now I find myself completely alone. It doesn't feel good. Her biggest complaint was my selfishness. I always wanted to do what I wanted to do, never taking her needs into consideration. I never wanted to do things with her. I never showed her much affection. I never wanted to just sit and talk to her. While I did do these things sometimes, it wasn't enough to take away the displeasure she felt. While I believe that some of her expectations were difficult to achieve, I believe that things would be so different now if I'd learned this lesson a few years ago. At one time, we were madly in love. At one time, she was pleased to be with me. At one time, she couldn't wait to see me at the end of a long day. Not anymore. She says I stopped having fun and, therefore, allowed our relationship to grow stale. As we part our separate ways, I hold on to hope that after making some personal changes, I may become once again attractive to her and we may be able to rekindle the lost flame, but I'm not sure it's possible with all the hurt she has built up. If I could just do it all over again. I do understand the environment in which I grew up contributed to my inability to express love. It is ultimately all my fault for not recognizing it earlier. I wish I'd know about books like His Needs Her Need or The Love Dare before now. I wish I'd sought out more help for my issues in order to prevent this. As it stands now, I have lost the woman I am still so deeply in love with. I will work on my issues and stay optimistic that my changes might help me get her back. But what I believe is that I'm correcting myself in order to not have this happen again in my next relationship. Such a hard way to learn a lesson. They say as long as one spouse still has love, there is always a chance. We have a daughter together, so we will still have a lot of contact. She's even stated that I could still attend her family's functions and gatherings, since they are really all the family I have here. I still have a chance, albeit a small one, but there's nothing wrong with hope. I'm not going to wait around for her to have a change of heart, but I'm sure that I will always have love for her. I'm sure there are going to be countless days ahead when I think of her greatly. I'm sure it'll be hard to date once the storm has subsided. I'm sure it'll be difficult to see her with someone else, knowing had I done something different, that would still be me. But I'll have to deal with it. I think in some ways, I have a blessing in disguise, I think. We both agreed to remain at the church we'd been attending. She grew up there and I became quite involved in the ministries there. Also, we bowled together in a league and neither one of us wanted to give that up. There are 2 opportunities each week for her to see that I am serious about making changes and to show them to her. It is possible that once her resentment dies or goes away, if it ever will, she may again begin to see what it was that caused her to fall in love with me. If not, I'll deal with it. I will continue to pray that God will show me His will as it relates to our relationship. I do know one thing. If it is God's will, we'll get back together. If it's not, then we won't. I am trying to move past everything. I started the 180-degree divorce buster from Marriage Builder yesterday as we bowled together and all. I don't really feel she liked how I wasn't up her butt. I wasn't mean and didn't total ignore her, but I didn't go out of my way to engage her. It felt good until I decided to go home. I'm convinced she stopped to hang out with some guy because her car was at another bar, a place she never really goes. It was on my way home, so I didn't really have to look hard. I think she's really done. I am rational. I may not be. We had a brief discussion this evening and she seemed pretty content with her decision to divorce, stating that it's too late for me to want to change for her. She said I had 10 years to do that and that she wasn't going to spend another day wondering if I'd change. I do believe this is it. Will I stop loving her? No. Am I going to dust myself off and try again? Absolutely. She, as most women go, will not have problem finding someone else, especially her because she's beautiful. She already has connected with at least one individual because I've seen the length of their cell phone conversation and been thinking of you texts. I, on the other hand, don't think I'm ready to thrust myself back on the dating scene just yet. I will at some point, just not right now. I will get through this. I have been trying a little of everything, hoping to turn things around quickly. I have been so determined to fix things that all I believe I've done is made things worse. And based on all of the online activity, texting and so forth, I know this isn't reasonable behavior, nor is it anything that fits her character. I'm not sure if the other individual, are attached, but I do know that she is, at least until the divorce reaches its conclusion. I guess my objective has been to do everything in my power to try to stop the process. I have been looking for a quick fix while all the while knowing that there really isn't one. I'm not sure of the divorce timetable, but that will change next week as I seek counsel to get a better understanding. I just wanted it to stop. I guess if it is in the cards for us to be together, there is always remarriage. As to the prediction, I have actually made great progress since I have revealed it to several people such as family members, church members, and in-laws over the past couple of weeks, and it seems a gigantic weight has been lifted off of my shoulders because I don't have to hide it anymore. Also, because I've been spending so much time on this site, I haven't indulged in that activity for quite a while, even while being home alone, so I know I'm making progress. You say prepare me for the long haul, even though most people aren't willing to hold out that long. Were you referring to the effort of salvaging the relationship? I don't think it would be a good idea that I date for the next 6 to 9 months. Anyway, so the only other thing would be to stay on course with the plan I choose. But you say I shouldn't heed her words. She seems so at peace with her decision. From the eyes of you relationship gurus, which plan would you say would work best for me? I don't really know if the plan B will work, but that's just my opinion, since we see each other each week at bowling and church. I will be moving out, since she is financially more capable of maintaining the house throughout this process. We have a 7-year-old daughter. Give me your best advice. Update, 8:30 a.m., after discovering some more of her activity. And texts to these guys, including one to her friend stating that she needed to find a buddy. I'm so sure that she is completely consumed by this fog. She even had the nerve to come and ask that I help her with getting another care since her current one is falling apart. Update, I know it's probably pretty much over now and I know you guys are probably going to beat me up for this, but I called my wife after daughter was put to bed, and the second night in a row wife did not call prior to this event, asking if something was wrong. She had just chewed me out because she said this same thing about me and that it made her mad that I did it. I said something wasn't right about her not calling her daughter. I told her despite the fact that we are in a divorce process, that she was still my wife and that she could do whatever she wanted after everything was finalized. Then I probably shouldn't have, but I told her about the recent discovery that she was no longer strictly talking to men on this dating website, but also texting with them now. I wasn't actually snooping but concerned knowing that we had limited number of texts on our plan, and I wanted to know where we stood, since at this time we are still married. She'd been doing an excessive amount, so I wanted to know. The number came up on our phone bill. She said it was her friends on Facebook, but that's a different number because I did the whole Facebook phone messages before she did. Nothing crazy, just notifications of updates and messages, so I knew what that number looked like. She denied that this activity was from this website and got really pissed. I know it's from this website. They range in time from early afternoon to 4 a.m. and there were 252 either sent or received from or to this number from last week. That's not Facebook. I doubt, after my discovery, she would ever be willing to reconcile now. Oh well, I know. I am now content with accepting whatever may come. I'm going to try the divorce-busting ideas as soon as I complete the book in the next day or so, but I'm prepared for whatever comes. Today, I began the 180 method. I actually got an opportunity to see the effects fairly quickly. I made some plans to hang out with some coworkers tonight. Then my wife calls and says that since our daughter is sick and since she would be hanging out with me tomorrow because of no school, she stays with me this evening. When I told her that we would have to work something out because today was not my day to have her, and because I had already made plans, she didn't seem to like it very much. I hope this works. I'm going to stay the course. I also noticed from the computer's history that she'd looked up quotes about forgiveness to post on Facebook. Now her lack of forgiveness is one of the reasons we find ourselves in this situation. I'm not saying that nothing I did didn't warrant some anger, but as a Christian, I believe what the Bible says about love being blind. She may have been also mad because I think she found out that I'd saved an Excel file of all her cell phone activity. Who knows, but I will stay the course. A few minutes after she left to go to her friend's house, the place she's been staying, she calls asking me to bring something to her. She asks what time I was going out. When I told her, she made a noise like she was surprised and disapproving at the same time. When I dropped off that she was asking for, I'd noticed that she'd changed to go out somewhere as well. I didn't even ask where or with who. She's distant, but she always has something to say. This morning, she brought over daughter on her way to work. On her way out, she says, "I hope you feel good about kicking me and your daughter out." Obviously, I replied that I hadn't. She said I did because I wouldn't stay away. It's never her decision or choice. It's always my fault. She calls again later asking to help her get another car. See, hers is acting up. When I was hesitant, she explodes talking about me being so selfish. She changed her mind about me staying at our house till I find apartment by the end of the week to having to find it today. She started talking about me not helping with anything as far as family expenses when every time I've offered she said don't worry about anything. Either she's just extremely bitter towards me or the fact that I went out last night got under her skin. It's probably a little of both. I admit to the video issue, but it was a fantasy world I lived in that didn't involve any contact with another individual. Last I checked, fornication involves voluntary bonding between two who are not married to one another. I can and have apologized for the doing, but I can't apologize for her making her choice to go outside the marriage. Are the issues we are dealing with fixable? Yes. Have I overlooked her many flaws? Yes. I have a hard time naming many of her issues, not because there are none, but because I love her and they are irrelevant. I've disclosed to someone we both respect and look up to, and my wife won't even speak to her. I think it's due to the other person asking if she wanted to talk and not saying I need to talk to you. I've told my family, her family, and a few respected members of our church. Mother basically told me that I should just accept it. Should I have asked them to try and speak to her, or is just telling them enough? Should I tell more people? Am I now ready to move to the carrot and stick phase? Can this work if we are in separate places? What is the recommended time frame for this phase? My pastor has decided that since my wife will not come to him, he's going to go to her. I've told him about everything I know. I also told him that my request was not for him to ask her to come back to me, but to let her know that he knows about what she's been doing. I think this will have an effect on her because she's always been one who cared about what others thought. But who knows what will happen during this fog? She doesn't know that our families both already know. I hope this will snap her out. I'm convinced it's more the fog than what I've done, because one of her texts to a friend stated that she was going to end things with me because I wanted her to stop what she was doing. Another question. How do you deal with the fury that comes as a result of disclosure? I know she's going to be really mad. Is that what will break her from the fog? Okay, my wife was furious that I told her mother. She was furious that I knew about another man whom she continues to lie about. She said they only exchanged a picture to put in their contacts. But why would you do that at 2 a.m. and why are there 4 or 5 pictures from each of them? She's mad that I found out through our joint cell phone accounts. She says that I'm stalking her because I keep finding out about her lies. I found out today that she still hadn't paid the fee for the divorce, but she said she would do it on Monday. She said that last week, too. I also found out today that she did cheat, which I already felt she did. She said that I need to get it in my head that she doesn't want me. I'm almost beginning to believe her. She's supposed to meet with our pastor tomorrow, and I know she's going to be furious that he knows. Is this all a part of the fog, or should I stop while I have my sanity? She seems to really have her mind made up. She's been so untruthful to me at this point, I don't really know what to believe. She has really made me feel as if she doesn't really love me anymore. When I told her that I was fighting for my family, she said there is no family anymore. But what do I believe? She lied about the getting off of the dating website. She lied about people from the website having her phone number. She lied about not knowing the guy I caught her with. She lied when she said hadn't cheated on me. She lied about everything, so what do I believe? So, you don't think I was wrong for doing any of the things I did? Did I stalk her? Should I not give up and continue on with the 7 steps? Is it a good thing that she's so angry about me calling her mom? I just want to gain some type of reassurance that I'm on the right path. She really made me believe that she's done and that she didn't care about who knew about her infidelity. She said that she now no longer has even a desire to be friends with me, not knowing that I really can't and don't want to be friends with her. I want to be her husband and lifelong partner, and if I can't, then I won't be her friend. She was really mad tonight and obviously thinking quite irrationally, which is to be expected. And now that I think about it, she was never really this mad and angry until I found out about so many of her actions. She was okay as long as I didn't know, but now I do know and she can't stand it. I threatened to call the individual with whom I suspected she'd had a paw with if she did not tell me the truth. This bothered her greatly, so she did admit. She did say some things that made me wonder if I was doing the right thing. God knows it's what I'm trying to do. She told me that she didn't feel any remorse about her infidelity, which also made me wonder if I should give up. But then I began to think, who is remorseful when they are so entangled and engaged in what they've been doing? A close friend, who knows about this whole situation, asked under what circumstances would I accept her back. I told him that they would obviously be on my terms and not on hers. I told him that she would have to truly express remorse and that going to counseling had to be a must. I would not accept her under any other circumstances. I also told him that I'd considered giving up based on the events of today, but that I just felt so strongly that this was a storm that would pass. I told him that I felt deeply that she still loved me and that this was just a brief but highly educational experience in our lifelong journey together that would make both of us better suited for the other. He also encouraged me to continue to go with my heart. I'm not saying that I will wait forever, especially since it's important in Plan B that a time frame be set and followed, but I'm not going to give up. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I did not do what I could to save this family. Because of my finances, I'm not able to maintain our home on my income alone, which is why I decided to move out and get an apartment. I signed a lease on Monday and will move in tomorrow. Since she knows about my financial abilities and since I keep exposing her, she threatens to walk away from the house and leave me high and dry knowing that I can't handle it. Her name is not on the loan because her credit would not allow it, but her name is on the deed. She says that if I contact any other person, she will leave the house and let it go to foreclosure if I can't handle it. I've worked hard to correct many of my past credit mistakes and don't want to deal with something like that. I'm not sure contacting anyone else is necessary since she knows that I know. She also found my Excel sheet highlighting all of her activity. She's mad about that, too. Update: my wife met with our pastor today. My pastor did tell me that he disclosed to her the fact that he was aware of her infidelities and that regardless of whether or not she gets back with me, she is still married at this point and that God will not be pleased with her actions. She told him that she would stop, but I'm not sure I believe that. He said that while she did not show remorse, she put her head in her hands and said, "Oh, he's telling everybody." I haven't really told everybody, but I have told him, her mother, and her aunt all of the details and her dad and stepmom some of the details. She told them that she doesn't want anything to do with me and that she just wants me to be a father to my child. My pastor thinks that her lack of remorse is not a good sign as it relates to our reconciliation. But to me, the most telling sign was the recognition of the cat being out of the bag. Is this typical and to be expected? He told me that I should just leave her alone, which is really leading me to the next step anyway, carrot and stick. While I understand that this is not a foolproof way of reconciling with my wife, it will definitely help me. As I moved into my apartment today, I realized that I may actually enjoy being by myself. This will give me a lot of time to really concentrate on me. So, tell me guys, what do you think? Another question. She's so mad that I know so much about her activities through her cell phone records. She threatened that if I don't separate our accounts, that she would stop paying the bill and force me to suffer the consequences. Obviously, I don't want to have to pay nor can I afford to pay for her phone, but I also don't want to give her the ability to do what she wants without being noticed. What should I do? Wife just continues to lie. Found out that she'd been calling another guy from the website and that she'd shown his picture to several of her friends and is even planning on meeting up with him. She lied to our pastor yesterday about stopping her activities because she was back to her old tricks last night. I am so trying to believe she will come out of this, but it seems likely that she may not as she has already involved her friends in her plans to be unfaithful. Maybe I should expect this. How do I stop feeling so bad? I was in good spirits after finding out about her conversation with our pastor, thinking that it might affect her knowing that he knew everything. But to realize that she lied to him also caused my emotional state to take a few steps backward. I am about to spend some time in prayer because God knows I need to talk to him about my plight. Should I continue now to take it to the carrot and stick phase, or should I give up? Something keeps telling me to do all I can possibly do, but the results of this process tell me something different. Which way do I go? I guess I may have been overly optimistic that my pastor would have had more of an impact on her. I now think back to the comparison of the drug addict being forced to go to rehab. It usually doesn't work unless they go themselves. The most painful part is watching her live in such a destructive manner. I fear for her safety due to her meeting these guys from a website. I fear that she will get into something that will cause her a great deal more hurt than what I may have caused her or even what I'm currently experiencing. It's so painful to watch and know there is absolutely nothing you can do. I will say that I don't agree with the previous poster's comment about it not being a fog. My pastor said that he's felt from the beginning that her desire to divorce had very little to do with me and everything to do with somebody else. And no, the majority of her friends are all single and don't go to church. She definitely needs new friends. I am committed to making changes to who I am, regardless what happens. This alone will eventually benefit me as much if not more than this experience. I just feel so helpless. I do understand that this will take some time. I just hate seeing this and feeling like this. It does help knowing that God is still with her. I do believe that He is, but I also know that God does not force people to make certain choices. He gives them the chance to make up their own minds whether it be good or bad. I also know that since He is a just God, He will punish us for the sinful choices we make. I do believe that some of the reason for this situation is my many years of sinful activity, and that it is one of the ways God is using to deal with me, to get me to wake up, see the errors of my ways, and repent. Ultimately, I do not know completely that it will result in losing my wife and the family unit we have, but nonetheless it is painful. I also believe that He's using this as a way to get me to understand that I need to treat my wife much better than I had. Don't take my comments as excusing her behavior, but I'm just saying that there is so much that I can take from this situation. Also, it's not that I feel I have to be there for her to come out of this, but as a married couple tied to one another, I'm hurting because she's a part of me and is hurting. She obviously doesn't feel as though she's doing anything hurtful to herself, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. I hurt knowing that I can't do anything to change what she's doing. I hurt because the other part of me is living this way with no thought and care about how what she's doing will impact not only her but her entire family. I just don't feel good to have this hopeless and helpless feeling. But I know that no situation is hopeless and helpless when God is involved. I did put my credit rating ahead of my marriage and I was afraid of pissing her off. But if she wasn't already, we wouldn't be here now, would we? It made me feel better, also, after talking with our realtor to find out what options were available if she were to follow through with her threat. She assured me that any really negative consequences wouldn't happen until a minimum of 6 months had passed, so that really took away my skepticism about moving forward with making those calls. I have never been one to just lay down and accept defeat, so why should I start now? I'm going to go out, if I go out, with aggression. I'm going to make sure I've done everything possible. Please understand that I'm not unmindful that taking these steps may be fruitless, but either I try to do something or I do absolutely nothing. Doing nothing is not an option. I guess I really do have a pair. Also, how can I earn any respect from her by giving in to her intimidation? I can't and I won't. My comment: cut off her phone, minimize your phone usage, minutes, cost, and let her accept responsibility for her actions. Next, an affair has ramifications that you cannot escape. Both of you are responsible for this. You overran one of her boundaries. She is cheating. The cost may well be the loss of this house and a hit to your credit. But what is more important, your credit rating or your marriage? You'll have to understand this with absolute clarity. If your credit reputation is more important than your marriage, then be honest, and take the steps now to fix the situation, before it gets worse. You'll take a hit on your credit in any divorce proceedings. You'll take it anyway if you are unable to keep up these payments. Part 2 ending coming tomorrow. Let this be a lesson to you.